Hi all, Anya here. Today I wanted to take some time and talk about being a beginner, being a learner, and I'm going to use two different readings I did recently as an example. So, oftentimes, when we're looking for advice on spiritual matters or on tarot reading, we come across a lot of people who are way more advanced than we are. And this can be great sometimes, right? Because there's so much that those who are more experienced can teach us. But I've often found that it can be a challenge sometimes as well because we're at such different levels. So it can be difficult to understand where they're coming from or relate to what they're saying. I'm experiencing this now in yoga. I'm a beginner, only 2 months in, and while I've gotten some compliments from those in my beginner class, when I go to a regular class, I can often feel intimidated by those who are coming in and doing forearm stands or handstands just as warm ups. But one of the first things I learned in the beginner's class was what my instructor said that a lot of people who are advanced forget, and that is to just smile and every now and then laugh at yourself. We need to remember that it's all a journey. And you shouldn't rush your part of the journey to catch up to someone else. Go at your own pace and know that with all of the practice, you grow and you improve. In that time, you may, in terms of yoga, you may lose your balance and fall over, or have someone fixing the position of your hips or something. But all of that contributes to your learning and improving. Um, I'm often the same way with tarot. I mean, no one's coming to correct my hip placement, but I do attend a tarot meetup group, and sometimes I can feel like I'm a little behind my fellow tribe members. In fact, just this month, uh, earlier this month, on Valentine's Day actually, I was chatting with a few people from my tarot tribe, and we discussed that some of us would like to learn to work with our intuition more and trust it. Um, someone brought it up, and it was something that I immediately agreed with. I seconded the statement and I expanded by saying, I try my best to read as well as I can, but it's not always clear to me. Or I read on the card image but don't feel secure in what I'm saying or what the reading's about. Um, and working with my intuition more is one reason why I like working with the tarot, and yet I can often feel disconnected from it. And I think a lot of people, if they're not familiar in working with their intuition, probably feel the same way. Um, and I just wanted to talk about this from my level and from this place of learning myself. Because I'm obviously still learning, I'm still growing, I'm still trying to understand, and maybe some of you guys are too. Maybe you're new to tarot or new to the Dreams of Gaia deck, which, as I talked about in another video, it's a bit different than your standard tarot deck. Or maybe you're new to the whole spiritual journey and it just feels like challenging and scary to navigate. And I just want to say you're not alone. You're totally not. Um, so as an example, to pull this in with tarot reading and specifically the Dreams of Gaia deck, which I want to work more with on this channel, um, I wanted to bring up two readings that I did recently during the February Tarot Challenge hosted by Lionhearts on Instagram. You can see both of these readings on my Instagram, and I will actually link below. The first one I'm working with is um, a reading that I felt very connected to, and the meaning jumped out at me almost instantly, which was exciting, right? And the second one I want to show you is one that I really struggled to find the meaning with. And more than that, I couldn't tell what it was related to. So I want to show both of these things to kind of get into this discussion of, reading and not always getting it 100% correct or not feeling confident because, just to show we've all been here. So I'll start with the reading I felt really confident in, and that was this one right here. The three cards that I drew were Thought, the Scribe, and the Nine of Water. Now, the theme of the reading, and if you're not familiar with the February Tarot Challenge on Instagram, basically every day there's a new theme that you're drawing cards for. So it gives you daily practice, and I would definitely recommend doing something like that for especially if you're learning. There's going to be one done in March. Lionhearts has already announced it, and there's several different themes. You can go read through what the themes will be every day. But what's good about this is it gave a bit more structure to doing the readings. If you're anything like me, you might sometimes push off readings or forget to do them. Maybe you're busy with work, or you're busy with school, or personal issues just get in the way. Things happen, and practicing tarot reading can go, on the back burner just the same way practicing anything can go on the back burner. You want to learn an instrument, but you're busy with work. It's the thing that gets pushed to the side. You want to learn any sort of skill, but you're busy with other projects. It happens. It totally happens. So this was nice because it gave me just something to try to work with every day. I didn't have to try to come up with a big theme because the theme was already there. It was already decided. And it really just helped me think about stuff other than trying to do a daily reading of what's the forecast look like for today. So this I thought was a really fun way to be daily with my readings. So this first reading, the theme was my tarot journey thus far. And what I did was I drew a card for tarot reading in the past, tarot reading in the present, and then what I have to look forward to. So the first card I drew, which was tarot reading in the past, was Thought. And this, again, immediately spoke to me. It said, just when you did tarot readings in the past, you just thought about it too much. You were too in your head. And I know the Thought card, it's a major arcana card, so a lot of people associate the major arcana with things that are sort of out of our control. The suits cards, the pip cards, and the court cards might represent ways to fix things that happen in our daily lives or people in our daily lives. And the major arcana cards can often be thought of as things outside of our control. But what I saw this as was the card saying, in the past, you were too in your head. You think about things too much. And then we moved on to the second card, which was the Scribe. The Scribe represents the present, right here and right now. And as we can see, or as we know, air, also known as swords in other tarot decks, often refers to still this realm of thoughts and ideas and intellect and things like that. So I saw this being a bit of a transition, thinking too much, using your head too much in terms of tarot. Here, we're still using our head, still using thoughts. You can see the sword in between the head. But what also struck me was all of these scrolls coming out from this figure. So you can see the scrolls hanging from his antlers, scrolls coming from his eyes, a scroll coming from his mouth. This, to me, also shows someone who is a record keeper, which, yes, the guidebook does say, but you can also associate that in the word scribe. What does a scribe do? A scribe takes records. A scribe is keeping track of things and writing things down. And this worked for me because of the tarot challenge that I've been working with daily this month. Actually trying to keep a regular record of my tarot readings and things like that so that I can work better with these cards and ultimately with my intuition, which is what a lot of us are trying to work with. So I saw this as saying, while still working with the thought, there's also an element of flow coming from you. And I would notice that occasionally when writing out my interpretations for cards. Like I'd start writing and all of a sudden I'd have my character limit met in Instagram and I'd have to shorten it because you just get in that habit of flowing. So I see that as an improvement. Still thinking, but also connecting with a source that makes you flow, makes the thoughts come out of you when you're looking at the cards and trying to get a meaning out of them. And then the last one is what I have to look forward to. And just by looking at this image on the 9 of water, you can see a figure, obviously a watery figure. There's bubbles surrounding her. But she's looking upwards towards a light that is, coming down from above, as though this bit of inspiration. You can see that her third eye is open, which shows, a connection to intuition. That's what the third eye is. And also, if you think about the element of water, water does also represent intuition in addition to like feelings and emotions and things like that. So I read this as a positive card to say, like, keep working, keep practicing, and the things that you have to look forward to is getting more in touch with that intuition and being more confident in it, because that's the biggest part of working with your intuition. I think a lot of people get nervous and feel like they can't trust it or themselves. They're not sure if it's coming from their head or their intuition or where they're getting these messages from. So I see that as a sort of positive outlook for, the potential future. So that was the reading that as soon as I looked at all the cards, I'm like, I can see how they all fit together, and this is very exciting to me. But then, a day or two later, I had another reading, and the theme of this reading was, what am I manifesting? And this one I'm still struggling a little bit with. I've come up with some ideas of what it means, but ultimately the thing that I struggle with is sort of figuring out what it's referring to in general. And you'll see why. I'll explain the cards and what they mean to me. So the first card that I drew was the 9 of fire. The second one was the 10 of air. And the third one is the 6 of fire. So just looking at the suits here, I can see that we've got 2 fire cards, which to me says something to do with something you're passionate about or something, a creative project, something that sparks your interest, or sparks excitement inside of you. And then the 10 of air, which represents something that inspires thoughts and ideas, because, as stated with the scribe, air is all about thoughts. So what I came to a conclusion on looking at all these cards together was by the 9 of fire, I sort of felt like it was saying it's something tangible. We can see this figure, and between his hands it looks as though he's manifested a rose. So to me that says there's something, it's something tangible, something we're passionate about, that we're working to make, rather than something that is, say, metaphorical. It's something physical that we're working to build and make and ultimately grow. The 10 of air says to me that it's something that would require you to step outside of your comfort zone. If you look at this card of the 10 of air, you can see there's this figure, and she's standing at this doorway. And where she is now is a place of comfort. It's a place where she totally, completely belongs, because you can see she fits in perfectly. Look at the colors around her. Look at the bright blue sky, the colors of the door. Look at the butterflies that surround her. They all match her in terms of her energy, and even like the colors that surround her. You can see this is probably where she was born and raised, and she's comfortable there. But she knows that she needs to step through out of that comfort zone into a place where it's dark. There are stars there to show something positive, but it's a whole new place. It's very different from who she is and what she is. But she knows that in order to grow, she needs to expand those wings, which she already has done, and she's got, butterflies with expanded wings around her. She knows that in order to grow, she's got to step out of that comfort zone and go on to something new. And then you had the Six of Fire, which I got in another reading recently, which says to me, both mediation, because you can see this figure in a throne sitting beyond these two figures who look like they're about to get into it in a sword fight. So you see this figure who's mediating between these two differing opposing issues, whether that be, your own thoughts that are conflicting with one another, or perhaps, people or someone that you are conflicted with in your life, but also healing, because you can see from his cup, there's water flowing and watering the flowers beneath him. So there's an element of needing this mediation between two opposing things in order to grow and heal. So, while I can get that meaning out of the cards, I don't necessarily know what it's really talking about, because there's a lot of, projects that I'm working on in my life. There's a lot of things that this could relate to, if I sat back and thought about each of the things, I could see how they would all tie into this. So it is a bit of a struggle for me to be able to pick up on some things, but still not really know how to move forward in the guidance that these cards are giving me. They're giving me some guidance, but I don't necessarily know what it's referring to, so I'm still not sure of steps forward, if that makes sense. And I know, a lot of people in my tarot meetup group who can look at the cards and immediately know what it's referring to in their life. So that's sort of the insecurities that, I'm talking about here, that, it can sometimes be challenging, especially if you're new to tarot, to look at these cards and maybe not know the meaning, or not feel as confident on picking up what is being said or what you're supposed to get out of the cards. And the reason I wanted to discuss these readings was to show you that, there's a learning process with anything, even tarot. If you're into tarot and you're learning more about it, there's going to be so many people who you come across who maybe picked it up really quick, or maybe they just have a very good flow, or already are in touch with their intuition, and it's going to make you feel like, you're not there yet, or you're not as good. Don't expect to be a pro the first time you pull cards, even if it seems like everyone else is. And I say that both to you guys watching the video and as a reminder to myself, because, we all need that reminder every now and then. And two, and I think this is the biggest part, celebrate it when you get those readings that you immediately connect to. Write them down, save them, share them, whatever you need to do to remind yourself that you did it, because your very next reading could leave you confused, but that previous one should remind you can do it. And obviously you can see this as, a prime example for me right here and now. I had one reading, very excited about, that I connected to, and I'm like, cool, I get what you're saying. And then a day or two later, I moved to another reading, and I'm like, well, what guidance do I get out of this? I'm not sure how to move forward. So focus on those positive ones. Focus on the ones where you do really connect, because as human beings, we have a terrible habit of focusing on the negative. You can do 10 readings and have 9 be unclear, but 1 be clear and understood by you. And as humans, we'd be more likely to focus on the 9, but that's only going to give you more fuel to stop doing this thing that excites you and makes you feel good. So instead you should focus on the 1, because it's that one that's going to push you forward and keep working with stuff like this. And no one should stop working with, tarot or musical instruments or writing or reading or anything that you're passionate about just because you're feeling insecure. Everyone should be able to continue moving forward with the things that excite you and make you happy and put a smile on your face. There's too much in the world that tells you to shut down those things that make you happy and just focus on, you know, everything else. Focus on, you know, the job, focus on school, focus on all of those things, but it's the things that also stir something exciting inside you that you should keep working with, no matter what level you're at. And also remember that, some days things just might not click. That's not a bad thing. It just means that some days maybe you have an entire week and you're getting all of these readings and you're coming out one by one and you feel great. You're totally picking up on it all. And then one day you just don't connect. It happens. Don't be hard on yourself. Just try again. And I'll bring it back to yoga. I can do camel pose in yoga, but I'm still struggling to do a headstand. That doesn't mean I give up on one and only do the other. You push forward, even if you're scared, even if you're not confident, because it's ultimately how we grow. And I'm sure people have heard this before, but just in case you need a reminder to not give up and to keep trying on the things that are fun and to give us a little bit of enjoyment in life. I encourage you to do that with whatever your passion is. And hope you all have a great day. Thanks. Bye.